we begin by looking at the Federal Reserve, the United States Central Bank. And this is coming straight from their website. First point to understand, the Federal Reserve banks are not a part of the federal government. Interesting. The Federal Reserve banks are set up like private corporations. Member banks hold stock in the Federal Reserve banks and earn dividends. The Fed is directly owned by the private banks. Now, the Fed is made up of three parts or sections. The first part being the regional banks that actually distribute the cash to the commercial banks, again, owned by the private banks. The second part is the Board of Governors, which is voted on by the member banks. Okay? And then the Federal Open Market Committee. Now, there is a bit of a shuck and jive here because proponents of this insane system will say that the Open Market Committee is how the people exert their will upon monetary policy. So no, it's not just the private banks that run things, it's the people. Well, it would actually be the senators and the Congress people who the bank answer to. Of course, I use quotes because the Congress people only have jobs because they're being paid millions of dollars directly by banks and other corporations. So do they work for the banks or do the banks work for them? Kind of confused on that point. The FOMC, a majority of the voting spots are again determined by the private banks. Point number two, and really kind of the most important point to understand, is how money is actually created. This is a educational document published by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York in conjunction with the Department of Education. And it puts it pretty clearly. Commercial banks create checkbook money, cash, whenever they grant a loan, simply by adding new deposit dollars to accounts on their books in exchange for a borrower's IOU. An IOU would be any type of loan document, such as a mortgage. So think about this. When you go to buy a house, what happens is the bank buys the house with money that it just invents. Okay? Then you work for 40 years to pay off that loan. That's how that money is created. So the bank is always in a win-win scenario.